I tabbed out on the front row, and when I tabbed back in, Mike Williams was standing behind my chair. I can smell that you're acting so weird.
How did you find out about USDF?
I found out about USDF inside a public room, actually, where people were advertising USDF, and I decided to join once I met up with SiteGround.
I'd come back to Habbo after a few years or a few months, and I think I was just searching through the navigator and just like randomly clicked on it.
I actually logged back into Habbo after like a year away, and I worked at BA and I was convinced that USDF was BA, so I went up to the transfer desk and I was like, hey, I used to work here, and they were like, no, you didn't.
I'd just come back from quite some number of years off. My account's very old.
I worked at Minna first, and I was appointed to being the director of foreign affairs, and then I just came to the HQ.
I remember coming back from Habbo after a very long break and seeing that it was the only military around that actually had some population. So it's kind of how I found out about it.
When I saw a video of Habbo, I was sort of quite curious how it changed. So I thought I'd log on for about 5-10 minutes and probably log off again forever. But I saw this one room that was almost completely full. And I thought, oh, I've never heard of anything like that before. I walked in and I was hooked.
I'd played Habbo for a small amount before I actually found USDF, but I was just scrolling through the navigator and I happened to stumble across USDF.
I was a part of the White House and I moved across from 6IC, having been a part of militaries in the past before that since 2009.
I just created an account and went to the room at the top of the navigator.
Did you enlist or transfer?
I enlisted.
I transferred.
Joined as a recruit.
Enlisted.
I enlisted. This is my first meal.
I enlisted.
I enlisted into USDF.
Then they were like, well, you can transfer, so I did.
What made you join USDF?
The people
inside USDF seemed very friendly. The atmosphere inside seemed a lot more professional.
I was bored.
It seemed interesting.
I joined USDF as I felt and wanted a challenge.
I joined because of the fun-spirited nature of the members inside, and I felt that kind of matched my personality.
Well, I was convinced I already worked here. I was like genuinely shocked when I found out that actually I was in the complete wrong place. But after transfer, I pretty much stuck around because everyone was sound and it was a good environment to be in.
It was 2015 and it just seemed like a really fun place. Like everyone seemed really nice in the room, and I thought, why not? And also I was just starting my first year at uni and I thought, why not just procrastinate with something?
It was just curiosity. It's way back in 2005, 6 and 7. People didn't dress like that, so I was curious. I thought, oh, I'm bored. I'll give this a go.
What was it like when you first joined USDF?
I don't remember because it was 5 years ago.
Wait a second. Was it?
It was very overwhelming first because there was so much to learn.
It was bloody terrifying.
It was a bit confusing because I'd only came from militaries where it wasn't that structured. Like here we've got like action request forms and all that, and before at BA it was just like, oh, you'll get an infraction for doing that. I never knew what an infraction was. They could send me one, I wouldn't even see it.
I was terrified of everyone. I'm a nervous person, but I like wouldn't talk to anyone. I was like very much on my own, but then I think I progressed fairly quickly, and then once I joined my first office, everything changed and everything, like I came out my shell, and now I'm one of the most annoying people here.
I was nervous at joining as I never met most of the people, but I was convinced to join by an E9, and he became one of my first friends as a selectee.
Who is that first friend you made?
I don't remember recalling his name correctly, but I know it began with a J.
It was pretty interesting seeing all these people again, all the like how big it's gone, how different it was from back when I was in militaries. Like USDF is so much more advanced from when I was back in militaries. Like there's so many cool things, so many cool people. So that was.
This was like 2 years ago. I can't remember. I think the atmosphere was just really positive. Everyone was like really nice to each other.
Well, whenever I first joined USDF, we only had like 10 to 15 pieces of furniture inside the room. Nowadays, whenever I first joined, it resembled a lot of the old times, a lot of the old policies, and a lot of the old rules that we established. And we just built upon that after 2015.
If you could change something in the beginning of your time in USDF, what would you change?
I think I would have rather have transferred in. Maybe could have got like a JNCO selectee or SNCO selectee instead of just starting as an E1. But it is pretty nice to tell people that it's been a year since I first started and now I'm a major.
Probably not going AWOL 4 times.
I don't think there's actually anything I would change.
For the first week, when I was a selectee, I literally forgot I joined until like 5 days later, which I wouldn't recommend anyone doing, by the way. I kind of wish that I put more effort in because my first selectee sort of reviews, if you will, were recommending me much higher ranks than the one I got. I got E7 because I didn't really do much. So I wish that I had tried in my first week.
I would have stayed in OJSIG and worked my way up there. Having only joined, I did not realise what it meant to rank up within the officers yet, so I just went for SMA.
When I first joined, I kind of just went along with things. I didn't really make the effort to truly find out what was happening. I didn't really immerse myself as much as I probably should have, and I sort of just went along with the motions, where I think I probably could have made a little bit more effort to find out about USDF rules.
I was very inward. I didn't bother looking for the challenges. I think I just stuck on one path instead of exploring and seeing what my options were. So I think that's something I'd change. Because at least I think that the path to success isn't just straight, it twists and turns. Staying on that one path for my entire early days was a big mistake, and I'd definitely change that if I could.
Instead of enlisting, I would transfer. I wasn't aware of the process, so I still have regrets.
I changed my rank. Yeah, baby. SecDef all the way.
Do you have any special memories from when you first joined?
Special. I remember getting shouted at.
Big defining moment for me was actually getting denied from OMP after finishing my selectee period, because it kind of made me reevaluate myself and the experience I needed. I actually went to OGFD for a good few weeks, and then a big defining moment was when I had gained enough experience to get into OMP, and that was like a big thing for me at the time.
On the day that I joined, there was a parade, so I was kicked from the room to make room for personnel before I transferred.
First day I fired somebody for being an idiot.
TRM, he had trolled me. I remember in R&R he was saying to take off my baby eyes, and it was like yelling at me and saying I have like a couple of seconds.
One of my really early friends was shampoo, suave underscore. I originally, okay, this is kind of rude, but I originally found him quite annoying. He just spoke so loudly, he had so much confidence. I was like, it really annoyed me, but then I'd get to know him and he'd be it's weird, but he'd definitely be one of the people that I look up to back then and even now.
I think one of my sort of special memories is at the time, I remember the Mukpon, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. At the time, Ace something, his name has escaped me. I thought I was sort of blending into the background, but I remember he came up to me, started talking to me, which no one sort of had really done before. I'd been here for a couple of days and you chat with people now and again, but you don't really make any sort of cemented friendships, where he was the first person to sort of reach out, ask how I was doing.
Do you have any embarrassing USDF beginner memories?
Probably everything to do with like my first few weeks in OJSIG. I joined them as an E4 and That was interesting, and I wasn't very good at any of it.
Oh, I know there's a couple, but it's so hard for me to remember because I try to make sure I forget those things.
When I first filled BDO, someone requested VO, and I read it out for a good half an hour. I was like, VO is requested. Please can someone from OOT&E host VO? Before I realised it was an exam, and it was OCS.
I had to report, and it was for appointment for kind of a big position in command. Instead of saying reporting as ordered, I said, sir. And it still haunts me today.
Probably the most embarrassing things were the looks that I used the few times I was here.
Oh Lord. I think my most embarrassing was sort of my first few days. I think I tabbed out, which on the front row, which is never a good thing to do. And when I tabbed back in, Mike Williams was standing behind my chair with his blue hair, which I always remember. Bloody terrified me. You can always imagine it in real life when someone's standing behind you, looking at you, waiting for you to stand up. And all I said was, what? When he was trying to talk to me. And I think I remember people whispering me saying, don't talk, just stand up.
So when I was E6, I didn't hold like any command positions. No offense to people who are E6, but I used to type in full like grammar. I thought I was so important. I thought I was above everyone else. And looking back on it now, I still cringe so hard because I was like, what was I doing? What did I think I was doing? Why did I think that was a good idea? Why did I like stroll around the HQ with my NCO uniform and think I was so important? It's so hard.
The first time I applied for a command position, I didn't really know how EOIs worked. And I don't mind providing this, but my SMA app has to be one of the worst things I've ever written in my life.
Do you have any embarrassing USDF beginner memories?
You'll have to pay me for that. That's not going on this recording.
Shit. I got a cabbage.
Okay, one cabbage will do. Embarrassing things. I'd say most of my embarrassing things actually are now, like wherever I'll use the rights and I'll accidentally like move a piece of furniture that belongs on the wall, and then you have to fix it, and then people make fun of me in my streams if I spell something wrong. Damn you people.